Last game week I went against the crowd and recommended Bruno, got himself an attacking return in a low scoring game week. Let's see who I suggest this game week. Not only am I going to tell you the best players to buy in each position, I'm going to reveal my locked in team selection, plus the best fixtures for attackers and defenders. In goal, of course, is still Flecken. He managed to salvage 4 points last game week, even though he conceded 2 goals. That's because he made 9 saves. Now, I didn't expect him to get a clean sheet, and I did say that in that video. It was against United at Old Trafford, but I do fancy him for a clean sheet this game week against Ipswich at home. With Brentford having this favourable fixture in game week 9, and against Leicester at home in game week 13, with no difficult fixtures for the foreseeable future, which means Brentford have got the easiest fixtures from a defensive perspective. Therefore, if I was going to bring in a goalkeeper this game week that you don't already own, I'd still recommend Flecken, and I think it's the perfect time for it. I've got Trent in defence. Unfortunately, he did get his third blank in 8 game weeks. That's still not too bad though, but I don't expect him to get anything this game week against Arsenal away. Whilst this video is being recorded, Alisson's sidelined, which isn't ideal for Trent, but it's kind of balanced out by Odegaard being sidelined and potentially even Saka. I don't expect Gabriel to get anything from the opposing side of the pitch either, but like I mentioned last game week, he got 15 points against Spurs away, 7 points against City away, 1 point against Leicester at home, 2 points against Southampton at home. Then I said, could you imagine if he blanks against Bournemouth away and then gets a haul against Liverpool at home? Let's see if that happens, because he did blank against Bournemouth away as well. I'm so glad I kept the faith in Gvardiol. He got 20 points in the last 3 game weeks. I would say I've been quite lucky though. He did only have 0.18 XG and he scored 2 goals, and they were pretty good goals as well, to be fair. Whilst I've only got 1 clean sheet out of him so far this season, I fancy him for a clean sheet this game week against Southampton at the Etihad. 51% clean sheet odds means it's more likely to happen than not, and the second highest clean sheet odds are nowhere near that, the 33%. And luckily enough I do cover that team, is Brentford against Ipswich at home. The best defensive transfer for me this game week would be Porro. It would only be for 3 game weeks. It would be Palace away, Villa at home, and then of course Ipswich at home. But then it's City away in game week 12, and I'd expect nothing from that match, so I'd probably even sell him that game week. But it doesn't make it a bad transfer, and it's an even better transfer to make if you've got strong bench cover that game week. On the bench, I've tried to push Harwood Bellis as far back as possible against City away. Now, I'm not sure if João Pedro's available against Wolves or not whilst this video's been recorded. It would be nice if you could get back into it, and I could put him first on the bench. But right now, let's say he does come and get a little sub on at the end of a game. He might only get 1 point. That's more than likely if he does. So I've put Fass in the first spot on the bench. That's against Forest at home. It's still not favourable because Leicester's defence is poor, but it's still not too bad. It is worth mentioning that this is my team before transfers. Now, I might actually sell João Pedro as part of a double transfer because they have got 2 free transfers, and I will discuss that towards the end of the video. In midfield, I've still got Eze, and I'm starting to get frustrated with him. His underlying stats imply that he's been expected to get an attacking return every other game, but he just keeps blanking. It's Spurs at home this game week, that's not too bad. Wolves away next game week is easy from an attacking perspective. He's got a few average fixtures between game week 11 and game week 13, 2 of which are at home. Then he's got an easy fixture in game week 14 against Ipswich away, so I am still going to keep him. I just hope the patience pays off, and he has done with other players, to be fair. One of those players is Rodgers. He blanked for the first 4 game weeks. He went and got 2 assists in game week 5, scored in game week 6. Yeah, he blanked in game week 7, but he's just scored again in game week 8. Just think of those points per million, what he's getting, and his underlying stats are very promising for his price tag. He had 0.84 expected goal involvement against Fulham away last game week, and he didn't even complete the whole match. It's Bournemouth at home this game week. I fancy him to get an attacking return again. Another cheap player with promising underlying stats is McNeil. He got himself an assist last game week against Ipswich away. He come away with a 6-pointer, and in a game week where it was low scoring and him being a differential, that was part of my big green arrow. Salah managed to come away with a 12-pointer last game week with a goal and an assist against Chelsea at Anfield. It won't be quite as easy this game week against Arsenal at the Emirates. He is usually in the running for captaincy, but not this game week. Obviously, people are going to ask questions, should we sell him with such a difficult fixture? But he is still in the running for captaincy for game week 10, game week 11 and game week 12. He's staying right where he is in my team. And whilst Arsenal's defence is usually so strong, they are without Saliba this game week, and that does benefit Liverpool's attack. And lastly, midfield is Mbeumo. He did blank against United away, but he scored in all 3 game weeks before that. And if we take a look at his fixtures, just like the defence, Brentford have the best fixtures from an attacking perspective. Based on this, if I was to bring in a midfielder that I don't already own, of course I'm going to say the same as last game week. With West Ham away this game week, it's Bruno Fernandes. He's got 3 easy fixtures in the next 4 game weeks. 2 of them are very easy, and there's no difficult fixtures for 5 game weeks. You might want to sell him from game week 14 onwards when he's got Arsenal away, but for now he's got favourable fixtures. That's for the medium term. I think he's worth bringing in if you need a midfielder around about that price point, and it's for all the reasons that I mentioned last game week. His underlying stats are promising, he's a 90-minute man, he's got very favourable fixtures. The same applies to Mbeumo, but even more so. So whilst Bruno's the midfielder that I don't own that I bring in, out of midfielders that I don't own and do own, if I was to start again, Mbeumo would be the first midfielder in my team. In fact, right now he'd probably be the first player in my team. His points per million potential with those fixtures are unbelievable. As you can see on the screen, Everton still got favourable fixtures, and that is up until game week 15. That's why I've kept Calvert-Lewin in my team, but he's been very frustrating, been missing a lot of chances. It's frustrating as an Evertonian as well, but luckily enough we have been picking up points recently. He managed to get 1.31 expected goal involvement against Ipswich away, and yet again he came away with absolutely nothing, like he has done for the past 4 game weeks. My biggest concern when I brought him in was his minutes. He's practically played 6 full matches. There was only one of them where he came off slightly early, and that was just for 3 minutes. I think us DCL owners are very lucky right now that he seems to be one of Dyche's favourites. I can tell you as an Everton fan, when he gets a favourite, he loves to play them as much as possible. Young's one of them as well. These are 2 players that should have been dropped, and they've not been. And as a disclaimer for Young, I'm not talking more recently where there's been plenty of injuries. I'm talking a bit further back, more like months ago and last season, where there was actually people on the bench who could play in those positions, and he continued to play Young there when he wasn't doing well for quite a few matches. As for Calvert-Lewin, maybe he's looking at it like we do from an FPL perspective. He's getting the chances, his underlying stats are there, and he is due to start scoring again soon. Of course, there is better on the bench. He might get those chances created for him as well. It does depend, obviously, the different players. Calvert-Lewin's movement might be better, and his hold-up play does impact the players around him, which he is better at than Beto. So to be fair, he might be having an indirect impact on the team. Either way, he's not been doing his main job, which is putting away the chances that are created for him. That's not helping the team, and that's definitely not helping my FPL team, but I am going to keep the patience. That's until the fixtures aren't favourable anymore, or he loses his spot in the team. If I was to bring in a forward that I don't already own, that would be Solanke, and that's for the same reason as Porro. Spurs have got decent fixtures for the next few game weeks. Then it's just the same where it gets difficult in game week 12, where it'd be ideal if you had strong bench cover, or maybe even sell him. Solanke isn't quite as appealing to me as Bruno is. That's why I'm rolling with a 3-5-2 formation. I do prefer the batch of midfielders that we can choose from, as opposed to forwards right now. I have just seen that Son's unlikely to play in game week 9. That does increase the penalty appeal for Solanke. It doesn't guarantee that he's on them. He's got competition from Maddison and Richarlison when he's on the pitch, but the probability is increased, which makes him a slightly better option than he already was anyway. Up front I've got Haaland. Obviously he's going to be my captain against Southampton at home. There's not much competition there. Now that doesn't spoil my best captain video because that's practically revealed at the start of the video, but it's whether he'd be my triple captain or not, which I have discussed in the video. I've also discussed, if you've not got Haaland, who the best alternatives are. I might actually sell Haaland after this game week. I don't plan on captaining him for the 4 game weeks after this. You can take a look at my captain matrix on Patreon, where there's exclusive benefits on there. As for the transfers, when I look at my team, there's no one who stands out that I really want to sell. And when I look at the players that I don't own, there's not really a player that I really want to bring in right now. If I was to make one free transfer on its own, I'd probably move Gabriel to Porro for the next few game weeks. But I do think that's a bit of a waste of a free transfer because I'd probably have to sell Porro in a few game weeks anyway. That'd be 2 free transfers spent on defenders. When I've already gained 0.3 mil with price rises on Gabriel, I'd want to bring him back, and that would be 0.2 mil down the drain. I can't see 2 free transfers that would gain much value. Therefore, I'm going to roll my free transfer this game week. If I sell Haaland next game week, I'd have 3 free transfers. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that one. Also, if you've not watched my best captain video and you are considering the triple captainship or you don't own Haaland, make sure you go and watch my best captain video right now.